Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to So Well Media. We're here with our review of Weapons. This is a new horror film directed by Zach Cregger, and definitely one of the most popular horror films that came out this year. Original film, and with a very star-studded cast here. The film goes as follows: when all but one child from the same classroom mysteriously vanish on the same night at exactly the same time, a community is left questioning who or what is behind their disappearance. This film is starring Julia Gardner, Josh Brolin, Benedict Wong, and a bunch of other heavy hitters in this. Well, and I was pleasantly surprised with this film, even though I had issues with the third act, and I want to know what your opinion on it. But from just concept alone, I thought this was the idea of talking about, oh, there's no original films being made anymore. Well, it's not that the fact they're not being made is people are just not going to go watch these films. But this here, when you have a unique concept and very a simplistic storyline that kind of following through this thing that kind of grabs your attention, all kids disappear one night at the same time except for one. What happened, and I felt they did a really good job in terms of creating an original concept of horror, or I only say new franchise, with this new character who's now the witch, played by Amy Madigan, Gladys, who is very creepy, very sinister. But this film does with a lot of multiple themes, such as addiction, depression, alcoholism, escapism, a lot of other things that felt really explored in terms of this whole supernatural element of this. But I want to know what your thoughts on with this film, Weapons, because I have some thoughts in terms of the third act.
I will say that this is definitely one of the most original horror films that we've had in a while, because it's like you take the basic concept of like, oh, all but one kid from one specific classroom all disappear at the same night at the same time too, because we live in an age where people got Ring video cameras, so it's like it's not like this is going to go unnoticed, but it's
Right.
like you have a concept like this, and it builds upon a mystery, and it pulls you deeper into what exactly happened, what is the motives of it, what is the motives of each character, why are they going about the way that they are. Let's say it's more in the case of like, you don't know what's going to happen, and that's the scariest thing about it, is like you don't know what's going to creep out, you don't know what's causing it. And so when moments like, say, Aunt Gladys coming out of nowhere, or just, oh, I think I found the kids, oh no, they're looking at me, or someone just knocking on your door past midnight aggressively, those type of things, it just creates an atmosphere where it's like you're on edge the entire time. And it was a really, really crazy experience. I can understand why some people probably didn't vibe with it in some cases, because it's like, it's a chapters sort of story. This follows specific characters and specific chapters, may rewind back to certain scenes you've seen before. It's all about putting you in each character's perspective. And I know that not everyone's gonna vibe with that. I've definitely heard mixed opinions when it comes to that. I've heard people like this film, and I've heard people feel confused about this film. But honestly, in my personal opinion, just speaking for me, I think this is a very unique way of going about it. The sort of mixed matched timeline of storytelling that gives more questions than it answers, but it still does answer some things, but it's like it gives more questions than it answers. Whether or not we'll get those answers, well, I mean, that's to be discussed later. So
I with the multiple chapters of each character leading up to a particular point, I thought that was actually smart. Now, is it original? Absolutely not. I've seen this plenty of times in multiple films, of seeing different characters' perspectives leading up to the actual climax of the film. However, I felt there was a lingering mystery of not knowing like what's going on, even when it comes with the trailers. Because I will say that one thing that was a positive for me was the marketing of this film, the fact that it did not do anything to actually spoil the twists of Gladys being a witch that was controlling all of these kids, and everything like that. It was some lingering mystery was going on, and I think they did a good job of trying to not just allowing the original premise of, again, kids leaving middle of the night, and then also having some of these talented actors coming in as a one who's a teacher of all those missing children. You have Josh Brolin, who plays the angry dad, rightfully so, trying to discover his own mystery himself. And what far extremes do we go for the things that we truly want, right? And also what type of addiction that we might be going into. For example, like, I might be addicted to being angry and trying to take this out on somebody. I might be angry in terms of escapism and want to go create a pity party of myself, of alcoholism and everything. And then other people might be just food, and then there's small themes and messages in there. But even when Gladys was who is this foreign witch that comes out of nowhere and basically takes control of this family, and saying that she needs to feed and whatever, she's not strong enough, and she does give this very parasitic type of vibe about her, because there was a small plot point in it. I think it was a video on the TV talking about cordyceps. Not going into The Last of Us here, but cordyceps are basically that were parasites that are attacking onto a host to actually to keep them alive. And with Gladys being technically that cordyceps parasitic person, feeding off of the most youthful thing we have on this in this planet, which is children, who are also the most innocent, most vulnerable. And I like what they did there in terms of just kind of like, before you actually get to the payoff of Gladys, that we also get sprinkles of her, but also in the character's shoes of being confused, like we don't know what the heck is going on. But we're especially when you have Julia Garner character Justine, who's a teacher who's just dealing with all this burden and stuff. But what was your thoughts on not only with the twist of Gladys, but also the climax of Alex, the child, who basically was doing all of this and got all the so apparently, as a witch, you have to take something that belongs to said person, and then belonging, and she's able to do a spell or whatever to cast that. But Alex, so he was doing this because he was just trying to save his parents, because they were basically brain dead at that point. But yeah, what was your thoughts in terms of Alex, this child, being put in this very dangerous situation?
Okay, well, first off, I'll just say about Gladys, she definitely creeped me the hell out, and I think they definitely gave the ambiance of like making her creepy without going over the top, because it's like, yeah, she's a witch that's using very Lovecraftian, very ritualistic things to take control of people. Get a piece of hair, wrap it around, make someone go wild and try and murder you. Again, it wasn't in your face, like it wasn't, say, like Disney level witch. It was like, oh no, this is some Salem type shit going on here. And I'll just say, like, in terms of that, definitely got me. Was it out of nowhere? Yes, but honestly, for what they were going for, I'm not mad at it. But in terms of Alex, I completely understand his character, because like, and you get little hints of it before you actually get the truth about what Aunt Gladys did to his parents, but you could see that he was definitely holding back some burden before we found out what she was doing, and also before we found out that he was technically being bullied by most of the kids in his classroom, especially Josh Brolin's actor Archer, his kid, bullying him as well.
Yeah.
But again, it's like, for Alex, I definitely understand the position that he was put into, and I don't blame him whatsoever, because it's like he was just trying to do the best he could to make her go away, but it felt like everything was like bringing her closer and closer to just like ruining not just him, but practically everybody in the town, until he made that decision, which led to one of the most funniest and one of also the most gruesome defeats of a villain I've seen in a while. It started off funny, then it started off nasty, and I can't get that out of my head. I mean,
yeah, that moment definitely became a meme where these children were chasing the hell out of her throughout the entire town. And that's where it was, not only that it was a shock value, it was so comedic, which kind of took me out of the movie, to be honest with you, because it's just like, wait, so these kids just suddenly just have superhuman strength where they can literally just tear you limb from limb, like from Spy Kids. Remember Spy Kids? It's like,
yeah,
children,
I remember.
limb from limb.
I know. Look. It definitely was a moment of like, wait, hold on a second. I get kids have a lot of adrenaline, but like, how much adrenaline do you need to be breaking through like wooden fences and glass
and off of jawbones and everything?
It's like literally turning you into rabid dogs in a sense.
Yes, like I don't know, like in the way that it happened, of Alex basically using the spell against her. I mean, how did he suddenly knew how to do it other than just paying attention and watching her? Over time doing it, I guess. But also just kind of showing that whatever addiction that you feed into, like in children who are around, they pay attention, right? So it's
Hmm.
like there is some themes in there, but I felt that with that third act and the way it kind of climacted in there, really kind of just took me out to the point of me actually fully loving this film. Because and I thought Gladys, even though she was much like a little to do with her, and other aside from her with taking these children um away in this town, I feel there's a lot of mystery in terms of who she is, where she came from, how old is she. But even though they did announce that they are working on a project exploring that origin
Hmm.
of Gladys and stuff, which again, the fact that this film is popular, the fact that we can create original content, original IP, regardless of taking the stereotypical horror film tropes and all that stuff like that. But yeah, but what was your kind of thoughts on just terms of how this film ended and wrapped up, where it's like, oh, it's over, you know?
Yeah, it definitely felt like a quick one because it's like as soon as Alex broke this, well, not broke the spell, but like turned the spell against her, and all the kids literally, not metaphorically, literally ripped her to shreds. That all of a sudden, once she's gone, boom, spell's over, and it's like literally the only thing that happened is Alex is reunited with his family. Archer is able to get his son back and walk away, and you get the narration from whoever was narrating saying that Alex's family went away. He lives with a nicer aunt now, and all the kids started talking a year later after all that trauma. It's like literally nothing else. We don't see anyone else's response. Like let's not forget the fact that Paul, who was Justine's ex that she had a few flings with within this movie, who was a cop, got killed. That Benedict Wong's character Marcus, who was the principal of that school, got killed because he was put into feral mode by Gladys. Like there was a lot of lingering stuff, and I'm like, there's no addressing it. Like I'm not expecting Justine and Archer to go to jail or anything like that, but I'm just like, no anything else. And again, it's like, yes, that movie that they announced will go into Gladys's backstory, but I'm just like, the one thing that I feel a little iffy about is like that ending definitely ended, but it's like I would have liked just a little bit more. I mean, I guess that's something where it's
Context
like right, a bit more context is just like, well, what happened exactly after? It's like, because the kid could have went on for as long as they did in the beginning explaining how the kids went away, but it's like, no, that explanation and everything, like I think the ending ended in like 2 minutes tops after Gladys got killed. Like 2 minutes tops. I would have liked there to be just a little bit more to explain just a little bit more of like what happened after that. I don't need more on Gladys because you're going to give us a film about that later. I just want a little bit more on what the hell happens now. Like the only thing we know again is Alex and the state of his family, and then the kids get their voices back like a year later. It's like, what, the town's not going to question this woman or the multiple deaths that have now been caused by her? Or again, are people now going to get off Justine's ass, stop thinking that she's a witch? There's just a lot of lingering stuff that I'm like, the ending for me is probably like not the ending of taking her out. It's just those last 2 minutes are probably, I'm like, I don't know. I still like the film, but I'm like, I don't know. It could have been a bit more.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree, and I felt that, and it's a shame because like I want to fully love this film in terms of what of the idea and the concept on a foundational level. I thought the trailers were good, and like, okay, I need to watch this. And you create that level of suspense and mystery, but again, that third act for me kind of just prevented me from fully loving it. And for some people, that just completely took them out. So this is one of the worst horror films of this year, blah blah. I don't actually agree with that, but definitely it could have been top tier if that third act was more fully developed. But other than that, that concludes our review. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, comment, like, and share. Let us know your thoughts on Weapons, which is currently streaming on HBO Max. We'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.